Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. A bit of a later start today, as I was hoping, praying to any Jesus that we could actually have some new interesting price action to be looking at today. Unfortunately, my prayers were not heard, and I suspect that we'll have to wait until next week for a real resolution, of which there are several things pointing towards a major moves in the work. Probably something to the tune of 30 to 50%, which we'll be going over today. Anyways, other than that, we did hit our short-term time frame targets from yesterday's video. A nice clean $1,500 move to the upside. But that doesn't even feel like anything important nowadays, because Bitcoin just, that's like a regular non-event day. In fact, it was one of the lowest volatility days that we have seen in the past, in the past year, realistically. So with all of that in mind, it is time to get in the Krown chain application, which we found at app.krownchain.net. It is 100% free, by the way, and to my knowledge, it is the platform that offers up the most free information on the interwebs. And if I'm not right on that, let me know, because we want to one up whoever the fuck is out doing us right now, and we're always looking for new stuff to add anyway. So as long as it's pertinent, we are definitely open to suggestions. And what else do we see going on in the Krown chain application? We do see a major sale going on in the cryptocurrency market. Everything's down 50 to 70%. So there's a big sale. Of course, we also do have 20% sale off going on for all of our programs as well. I won't get into that exactly right now. Perhaps I'll save that for the end of this video if we do have time. I just want to preface that whole conversation. Do not rush into anything. Make sure that you watch the videos that accompany them, because they're going to explain who they're for, who they're not for, and what to expect within those programs. And it might just be that they're not for you, or perhaps it could be that the free videos, which are intended to be there for that exact purpose, are exactly what you're looking for anyways. So anyways, onwards and upwards with it. What do we see as far as the dashboard goes? Bitcoin dominance did pick up about 1%. So we are seeing Bitcoin essentially soak up some altcoins. This does usually lead into an actual trending move. I would like to perhaps look at Bitcoin dominance today. I do want to avoid long-term analysis today. I want to kind of keep this video a little bit more on the short-term side. If you want the long-term analysis, I'll link it at the end of this video, or you can just watch last week's entry into the long-term analysis playlist. Still very much pertinent. We haven't seen any, obviously monthlies close since then, so there's not going to be too much to update on that. Perhaps if we do talk about it tomorrow. Fear and Greed Index at a 20, which is what you would expect after 50% dump bola, with basically no movement after that, and a massive range. And into the market data tab we go. Do we see anything of particular interest right here? Global friendly rate still remains incredibly slightly negative, which is really pulling hairs right now. We do see global exchanges net flows is positive right here, so people are putting their coins on exchange, but again, extremely low read. I don't look at any of this as too helpful right now for kind of gaining an overall bias. Again, open interest, I want to see this get above 5 billion with a B, that is, alongside price action breaking out of the top out of the high term time frame range. Until that happens, this is all interesting stuff to kind of keep aware of, but we don't have anything that's fully conclusive. Price action right now is everything. And with that said, let's go into the price action charts at this exact moment. And what do we see on our BBWP on the daily? We are at the lowest reads, quite literally lowest reads, one spot, 98 percentile is what we got yesterday, since October 2020. And very few times in Bitcoin's history have we even gone lower than that. I mean, it's so low right now that realistically, if things were to start to expand from this region, it would be kind of expected. But I would kind of harken back to what I said at the beginning of this video. I'd probably be looking for expansion probably sometime this next coming week, not today, not over the weekend, typically speaking. But fair enough, if it happens, it happens. And for the last few times that we have seen reads like this, we've seen humongous fucking moves. I mean, this is comparable. The last time that we did see April highs, that was about 10 percentile, to give you an idea. Or sorry, no, it was not 10 percentile. It was about 4.76 percentile, which is actually where we were yesterday, funnily enough. Anyways, other than that, we have seen a few other lower reads than where we're at currently. Again, very rare, but we did see it on October 2020. We did see it in July 2020. We did see a few other times, January 2020 and September 2019. And of course, there's several other examples in past years. But I just want to give you an idea of what we're looking at right here as I stutter around my words. I know it's fucking annoying, but it's also embarrassing for me, so you don't need to make fun of me for I already feel bad enough, man. Anyways, looking at it right here, what do you see? Well, we did get a very low volatility read on our April highs, essentially, and that did lead into, well, what was our 50% downside move thus far. Anyways, before that, we did see a very similar read right on over here. In fact, this one's infinitely more interesting to me, just because we do have a very similar signature right now. This would probably be the bullish look. If I wanted to be bullish on this price action, which I'm kind of more or less neutral, more than anything, I don't really care if you call this bull market or bear market. It's a fucking trader's market right now. It's an options trader market right now. It's not even like a regular trader's market. I don't want a piece of this right now. But we did have about a 2-month long consolidation right here, about a month and a half long consolidation. Did fit the bill for a Wyckoff distribution top, by the way. And then what happens after that? We do see that the dumpola gets reaccumulated and marches upwards and onwards. Anyways, that march upwards and onwards was pretty much unabated from the breakout point to the next major high of about 78% or so. I mean, pretty damn impressive moves right there. The time before that we saw something relatively similar. Again, about a 3-month long consolidation from May to July, or is that 3 months? May, June, July. Yeah, 3 months actually. And Bitcoin had a nice quick little splurt of about 33% to the upside. A couple other times than that in the last year or two, we do see the similar read pattern over here. Bitcoin dumps out and consolidates for about a month. And what do you know? A nice almost 50% move to the upside. And then, of course, this one coming to the downside right and over here as well, leading into what was eventually a 40% move to the downside and almost immediately at about a 30% move to the downside. And we'll just go over one more because this one's pretty damn interesting as well. 4-month long consolidation on the lows. I remember this one like it was yesterday in March 2019, and massive move to the upside, about 250% and more, and looking pretty damn good right there. So when we are in the throes of a read like this, it is relevant to expect at the very least a 30% move, in my opinion. Maybe all the way up to a 50% move, and if it's to the upside, I mean, you know, that can just be compounded, of course. But looking at it right here, let's just play around with numbers. What if Bitcoin? What if, you know, that stupid fucking meme? What if Bitcoin dumped out 30% from our current consolidation? Well, that put Bitcoin at around $25,000. Very interesting, right? If Bitcoin were to dump out, you know, 40 to 50% or 50%, about $19,000. Those are the same targets that pretty much everyone's looking for on a downside break. I mean, there's no big surprises right there, obviously. To the upside, I think it's a little more interesting. Once again, as we do, as we would see about a 30% move to the upside at about the mid to low, about the mid $40,000 territory. A 50% move to the upside would be right around $50,000, which are my two kind of targets to the upside as well, if we do get that expansion in that direction. For right now, short-term timeframes are, you know, very, very similar to where we left off yesterday. We did hit our short-term time frame target, it looks like, based upon the hourly Joule read. And are we going to get a continuation on top of that as well? Well, as long as we're closing 4-hour dildos, especially above this pivot right here, let's just call it 33.8. Or if you want to make it nice and simple, the green 55 exponential average right here at about 33.850. You know, big difference right now, but I guess $50 is a big move at this point right now, just because we've been so fucking starved for price action. I would be looking for a move back up somewhere around 34.6 to $35,000. And I'd even go as far as saying that if Bitcoin can start to close 4-hour dildos even above these highs right here, our last sort of lower highs on these lower term timeframes, I wouldn't just look for a move back up to about 36.5 right here. I'd look for a general continuation move to 38 and then 40, you know, $40,000 respectively. And that probably leads into the general daily expansion, which probably brings Bitcoin somewhere into the mid, maybe even deep $40,000 territory. By the same token, to the downside, a little bit less obvious here. If you really want to play the lower term timeframes, I'd use 33.350 as a pivot. Although, again, I'm not fucking trading this right now. If I don't have access to options in this, I don't want a fucking piece of this. If I did have access to options, I'd either be, I'd absolutely love to fucking sell a bunch of strangles within this region. Maybe even at this point, because volatility is so low, I'd actually consider, you know, one of the few times buying some straddles. But you know, easy to cover, of course, if you do sell the strangles on the other side. But, you know, with volatility expansion coming in relatively soon, you are kind of selling them on the cheap. So you would have to be very, 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 very quick to cover, because when Bitcoin does move, it's not going to give you too much time to think. Above $35,000, I would expect some zooming action, and below about $31,000 on a daily, I'd expect some more zooming action to the downside. And you know how Bitcoin likes to move. Anyways, as it stands right now, would I be looking at this as any more pertinent than just short-term move? No, I would not. For me, because we are so close to the bottom side support of this whole formation that we've been looking at for the past, I mean, realistically for the past couple months now, as we do get more mature within this consolidation, $31,000 is that big area essentially on the daily for myself. If you want to be super exact, it'd actually be 30,800 or so. And if we do close a daily dodo below there, then I'd start to look for the general downside to follow. Again, bounces very likely along the way, $27,000, 25 and $20,000. It's just nice even numbers to say for the most part. And into the upside, like I said, 35,000 bucks would very likely be good enough for me. If you want to be a little more conservative, you'd use this local high right here, and that'd be kind of like your little accumulation zone. But for what it's worth, and it's worth quite a lot, typically speaking, all time frames up to a weekly are within a downtrend. So, you know, take that as you will. And if you do throw on the volume profile right here as well, it will, and we get this whole consolidation. You can see very, very easily the significance of the just under $36,000 level right there, where the point of control is pretty much right in line with my blue box territory. And any sort, you know, any sort of price action even around there, I'd say is very likely to bust through. There will be stops along the way to the upside, like I did say. 38.1 would be an area of interest, and then you got 40 and 41. But ultimately, I would be looking for that expansion on the daily to carry us higher, because those reads typically do get a lot of follow through, as we did look at earlier. It'd be a great outlier if we did not see, you know, if we saw Bitcoin like top at like 40,000 bucks after that. And I know I've been getting a lot of shit for that as well. And fair enough, you know, people are obviously entitled to their own opinions. And you could easily make the case that we already got the bull trap into the mid $40,000 territory. It was right here at about 41.5 or 42,000 bucks. Fair enough, you can definitely say that, but you know, if that was the bull trap, you'd expect that this downside move, and especially this downside move right here, would have been the continuations. You don't really get like a second chance to kind of, you know, get those beautiful shorts in. So that's the very frustrating part of this current price action. Anyways, as far as momentum oscillators go on the short-term time frames, hey, what do you know? Fucking 4-hour BPWP looking for expansion as well. I think the hourly is doing what? It's actually coming down right now. So we're in a bit of short-term consolidation right here. If I did have to call this right now, and look, again, I would not trade this myself right now. I would have a slight upwards bias in the very short-term time frames, probably back up somewhere around 34.5, maybe even 35,000 bucks. And if that starts to happen, that starts to look pretty damn good, especially if we can close the daily dodo above there. We do see hourly giving us some hidden bullish divergence, so you know it's going back to the fucking moon, right? Bi-hourly, do we see anything of particular interest right here? No, we can't even populate it. Hidden bearish divergence, I would say, already played out. That was your move from 34.250 all the way down to 33.5. Let's see, 3 hour. Do we see anything of particular interest right here? I suspect no. Yeah, 3 hour and 4 hour RSI more or less neutral to slightly okay if you really wanted to, you know, thrust an analysis into that, which I don't think is appropriate right now. 12 hours not really giving me too much. If anything, actually 12-hour jewel is still a little bit bearish there. But here's the thing: it is starting to lose its curvature, and the second that this turns white, assuming that you have access to the jewel, I'd say that's at the that would be maybe a front runnable signal into the other side. To be fair, again, I want to see it led on by the 4 hour. Of course, but you know, we are starting to build these up, and I do suspect that the daily is in the same posturing as well. Yes, indeed it is. Actually, it's still got that nasty negative slope, so that'd be a kind of a counterpoint to the other side. And what do you know? Where's the daily 21 exponential average coming down? Actually, rather aggressively now to about 34.5 or so. So as long as we're below there, you know, really hard to get talking about even like a medium-term bullish move, but that's even like well below 35,000 bucks at this point, which is my sort of 4-hour area. So if Bitcoin could start to open and close daily doodles above the daily 21, in this case, this yellow moving average right here, again 34.5 or so, I would start to look at that as you know, as a pretty good signal, and Bitcoin very likely does get a shot at the 55 at that point. But the 55, which was at, you know, 40,000 bucks earlier this week, is now at 30, basically under 38, which is coming down fucking hard, man. So that easy move that you typically get from that trade setup is rapidly decaying in its edge. But again, you know, obviously if Bitcoin does break above this area right here, I would generally extend those targets anyways. Again, with stops along the way, of course. Do we see anything else that needs some explanation right here? No, I don't think so. Let's do the daily perusal of the major 3 things that I'm looking for to denote a potential macro low. Do we have them in there? Starting off with the hash ribbon indicator, the most important one for it. Nope, we don't. No blue buy signal, and it ain't even fucking close right now. So no talks of macro low in. As you have been saying for the past couple months here, it is, you know, best case for blue laws is sideways AF, and this is hilariously still working out. I can't fucking believe this. I drew in this little accumulation zone right here, saying, hey, if bulls are going to hold this here, this is probably what it looks like. Come back in like late August or like September, you know, give it some time. And it's actually hilariously still working right now. I wouldn't necessarily expect that, like, you know, to always work, but fair enough. And daily MACD is technically very, very slightly increasing on momentum. It's really like fucking splitting hairs right now. Anyways, that is not a part of the 3 parts that I'm looking for on a macro low. The hash ribbons obviously is not there. We have a higher low in place. As of right now, no. Could this be a higher low in comparison to this low? Maybe, but how do we confirm this as a higher low? Need to see a daily closure above the 21. And where is that? 34.5. And actually we just got, looks like a short-term rejection from it, but Still a lot of trading left in the day to go, about 16 hours, 58 minutes, and 0 seconds, in fact. So not really too much to talk about there. And then what's the third one? The volatility read, actually. This is probably the one that is the closest, in fact, as we are right on the ground floor. This can get down to, right around 0 percentile and stay there for, it can even stay there for like a week, as we have seen in the past. Like we saw right on over here. It doesn't stay there for too long, as it is a mean reverted indicator, but this next week, I do suspect we very likely do get a try. I do think that we're going to get a try this next week. That's going to lead into the next mega move, perhaps coming in like later this month or like early August. I think like early August is probably around the time. Anyways, is there anything that we want to talk about? I'm already 14 minutes into this video, and do we have anything over here? Not really. Do we have anything over here? 4 hour Stoke or 3 hour Stoke? Sorry, I'm still. Hey, they're up. We're fucking bullish. Hourly will flip back around as long as we close above 33,890, which we are clean $150 below right now, which is not very helpful. And 4 hour is remaining with upside posture as long as we're above 32.6. However, it should be denoted that we are actually going to be meeting up with this trend line right here. And then I'll leave you off with like one fun thing to end this one. I found this on TradingView. I've been playing around with it. It is hilariously interesting. This Monte Carlo range forecast. It's made by Donovan Wall, I believe his name is. This guy must be a mathematical genius, because I don't even understand how you could get like all of this stuff in Pine, like the Pine editor. Because from what I understand, speaking with some of the coders that I know, it's like there's like serious limitations with Pine and like how much you can actually put in there before you just get like errors with calculations. And this guy's like fit in some just fucking rocket science equation into this shit, and it's absolutely hilariously interesting. Anyways, what I did here, and I don't think, yeah, this video is not going to be a good video to explain this, because we're already 15 minutes into it and I want to make it below 20 minutes, but what I've done here is I've essentially pinned it to our highs and done a forecast from those regions. I think it's very interesting here. It's kind of showing a range, if you will. And what do you know? A lot of our interesting targets are included within that range. We do see, well, to the median and downside, just saying. But we do see to the downside about right around our low $20,000 territory, about 21,000 bucks. So I do think that would be a general target if Bitcoin does break down. Our median is pretty much right where we're at right now, actually, 33,750 or so. Just around 34,000 bucks in the high side of this. I don't know how much I trust this right here. That's that's just under 170,000 bucks. So fair enough. I don't necessarily, or at least I would think that it would be a little bit premature to say that Bitcoin's going there for sure. But I do think that I do think it's very interesting to see it kind of line up with those areas right there, especially the downside targets. So keep that in mind, and perhaps we'll do a video explaining that a little bit later. Perhaps I can even bring him on this channel if we can reach out to him. Seems like a pretty approachable guy, and an absolute fucking monster with the Pine coding. Anyways, with that said, I think we pretty much covered everything that I want to talk about. Again, short-term time frame ranges are pretty much where it's at right now. A 4-hour closure below about 33,350, and I'd probably be looking for another retest of yesterday and Thursday lows, maybe even continuation down to 31.5. I don't know if I'd necessarily call a breakdown there just yet. I'd want to see a daily closure again below about 31,000 bucks, or weekly specifically below about 32,000 bucks. If we can get one of those two things, that'd look good. You can also look at Gaussian channel here too. Actually, Donovan Wall made this one as well. That's actually how I've kind of found his stuff, because I was looking for something like this. Interesting stuff. If we do put it on more or less a daily, and of course a weekly as well, but looking at it right here, we are obviously trending to the downside. But as we do kind of approach the bottom side of this, if we do start to regain into it, you typically will test the median point of it, and that's all the way at the top side of the range, 39,000 bucks, which is excellent. And well, we can talk about that another time as well. Anyways, I'll swing back around here, get into the sale as well, and just bring you over to this page. I just want to briefly say, all of these programs I absolutely fucking love, but I would say the TA program and the options program right here, understand that these are very fucking long programs. They are not just big financial commitment, I'd imagine, for most people. They're also big time commitment as well. They are not fucking magic pills. Nothing is a magic pill, realistically. But more importantly with that, it is going to come with a lot of time spent, in my experience. So for myself to learn trading, when I was first learning trading, it took me about a year and a half before I became consistent. 2 years before I was like, really, okay, this is, I'm like doing it for a living. now that I've had this program live now, I think going, it's like 3.5 years maybe now. It's definitely over 3 years. I've noticed that people who take this program, and for the people who like are actually going to put the effort in, which it does require a shit ton of effort, of course, it takes about a year to a year and a half for most people on average. So I was a little bit on the slower side, which is kind of embarrassing, but hey, it doesn't matter how long it takes there. It just matters if you fucking get there. And of course, you know, it's going to require a lot of work on your own behalf. So just understand what you're getting into. The rest are a little bit more self-explanatory, mostly indicators. We do have the liquidity zone with their newsletter. We have Jack's video program if you need to, you know, kind of work out your inner demons. And then we also have we actually have a PineScript mastery program here as well, and then the Neophytes Initiated Trading, which is essentially an extremely basic program. So again, all of this explained in the videos that accompany these. And with that said, I'll leave you right there. Take care, and hopefully see you soon.